Coming up, a man arrested in Fargo is facing charges in the stabbing death of his wife. A man described as a high-risk sex offender registers at an address in the FM Metro. And state lawmakers have to decide how to spend $1 billion. What happens if they can't reach an agreement? Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with comments tonight from Moorhead Mayor Shelly Carlson on how and why she wants voters there to approve a sales tax increase. And in tonight's one-on-one conversation, we'll hear from North Dakota State Senator Tim Mathern talking about his proposal to bring 10,000 Ukrainian immigrants to the state. But first tonight, a man arrested in Fargo is now officially facing charges in the stabbing death of his new wife. Authorities say James Nainote is charged with one felony count of second-degree murder. Police say his wife, Pichu Yates, was found dead Monday night, covered in blood and lying in a yard in Champlin, Minnesota. Nainote was arrested at an apartment in Fargo where officials say he was hiding from police. A warning from the Fargo Police Department. A high-risk sex offender has moved into the city. 36-year-old Calvin George Willard Till Jr. has registered his address at 734 College Street North. He's 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 210 pounds, and has blue eyes and brown hair. He was previously convicted on charges related to child pornography and paying a minor for sexual activity. Moorhead resident and retired Colonel Dan Bomer has announced his run for the Minnesota State Senate in the newly drawn District 4. This is Bomer's first run for state office. He previously served on the Moorhead City Council from 2006 to 2010. The Republican was born and raised in the Moorhead area, and his military career spanned 37 years. U.S. Senator John Hoeven is giving an update on the status of North Dakota farmer Kurt Grosshans, who's being held in a Ukrainian jail.
Obviously, we're very concerned about him, working on it very hard. Senator Kramer and I have been in almost constant contact, not only with his family, with our State Department, and also the Ukrainian authorities. And we've gotten as far as actually getting permission for him to be moved to a safer place, but the problem is actually getting it physically done. What we would like to do, of course, is get him out of Ukraine.
Getting Kurt Grosshans' release is the eventual goal, according to Hoeven, who spoke on WDAY's The Jay Thomas Show. For now, Hoeven says they're working to make sure Grosshans is safe and fed. He's being held in the Ukrainian prison for what authorities there say was a plot to kill a former business partner who was previously a government official in Ukraine. Grosshans' family members tell us he is being held on false charges. The FBI continues an investigation into the death of a 6-year-old boy on the Spirit Lake Reservation at Fort Totten. The boy was found unresponsive on Sunday with what appeared to be several animal bites. He was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Officials haven't confirmed the attack was by a dog, but law enforcement officials say they have found the animal. North Dakota's Republican Party is preparing for its convention this weekend in Bismarck. Friday will include committee meetings followed by the governor's reception. The convention will be called to order on Saturday. The only contested nomination is between incumbent John Hoeven and State Representative Rick Becker for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Hoeven. The FDA says vulnerable populations in North Dakota are now eligible for a 4th dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The new dose is available in some healthcare provider locations and will be available within the week at hundreds of locations. We're told the booster is meant for those 50 or older or children 12 and up with weakened immune systems. A deadline is approaching for Minnesota lawmakers to decide how to spend the state's remaining American Rescue Plan money. If state lawmakers can't reach a deal by June 15th to allocate the remaining roughly $1 billion, Democratic Governor Tim Walz will get to decide how those funds are spent. Agriculture officials say canola could be a high-dollar crop for North Dakota farmers. Prices are nearing 41 cents a pound. That's near record prices. The demand for canola goes beyond food to uses in the green energy industry. North Dakota produces close to 85% of the nation's supply of canola. Toby Keith is set to perform at the Norsk Husfest at the North Dakota State Fairgrounds in Minot. The show is set for September 30th at the Great Hall Stage. The lineup includes Lady A, Daniel O'Donnell, Brantley Gilbert, Old Crow Medicine Show, Big and Rich, and the Texas Tenors. Tickets go on sale April 15th. Norsk Husfest is North America's largest Scandinavian festival. In a closer look tonight, voters in Moorhead will decide in November whether to approve a half-cent increase in the sales tax. The money raised would be used to pay for a new regional library and community center. Mayor Shelly Carlson is firmly behind the $31 million project and calls it transformative.
We really are seeing this as this could be the cultural anchor of our downtown and our downtown renovation. Really seeing this as one of those legacy projects that could change the trajectory of our downtown Moorhead for decades and generations to come.
Now, the City of Moorhead commissioned a study to determine the impact a half-cent increase in the sales tax would have on the average Moorhead resident. We're told a resident would pay about $2 more a month, or about $25 a year. The study also concludes an estimated 30% of sales taxes would be paid by non-residents, totaling about $470,000 a year.
But I kind of envision, a two-story area that maybe, with the community center side is a two-level playground area for kiddos, and outside is maybe a splash pad, and then the library is kind of on the other side and a walking track all around it.
The city is hosting 2 open houses to allow citizens to learn more about the community center and library project. Those meetings run April 5th and the 19th at the Moorhead Center Mall from 4 in the afternoon until 7 at night. Mayor Carlson says formal presentations will be given every half hour.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back. In tonight's one-on-one, my guest is State Senator Tim Mathern from Fargo, talking about his proposal to bring 10,000 Ukrainian immigrants to North Dakota. I asked him about the plan, which he says would help address the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine and help address North Dakota's labor shortage.
North Dakota has always struggled with having enough people to deal with the needs of our economy. The proposal I suggest is taking this opportunity that comes right now with 3 variables attached. One is the humanitarian concern we all have for people in Ukraine. Second, many of our people in North Dakota are faith-based. And almost every faith will talk about welcoming the refugee, welcoming the stranger, welcoming the immigrant. And third, our state is struggling with a dramatic workforce shortage. So the proposal is basically saying, now that we have these 3 variables coalescing, is the time to be bold, to be very forward, and bringing people to North Dakota is what we need to do. This would take all of our agencies, most of them under the governor's control, to work together to make this possible. Right now, we are spending millions of dollars. We have appropriated millions of dollars for refugee immigrant resettlement, but we only plan to bring in maybe a couple hundred.
Now, my understanding is that you've written letters to President Biden and Governor Burgum detailing your proposal. Have you received responses from either one?
I have heard back from some of the state agencies expressing concerns that this is complicated and would take considerable resources. The president announced last week, I thought it was quite fortunate his announcement came out after I'd written a letter, but whether they're connected or not, I don't know. But he called for 100,000 people to be let into the United States under special circumstances. So I think the will is there, the openness is there. It's just a matter of actually taking action and doing it. There's another group of citizens called Catch that have been meeting regarding rural North Dakota. And that group of people, which includes economic development people and ministers, faith-based organizations, churches, have been meeting to figure out how they could be part of such an effort.
Now, for those who might have concerns about properly vetting and screening immigrants, no matter where they come from, especially if they arrive in a rapid fashion as you're talking about, what would you say to allay those concerns?
Well, I would say match up your concerns with people dying and take some risk. And we could also use our resources. You know, the governor sent the National Guard down to the border to keep out immigrants from Mexico. The governor sent the Guard to DAPL at the Standing Rock pipeline incident some years ago. We could use the National Guard to address some of that concern. We could use the National Guard to help vet people, to help bring people, to help house people in a short crisis situation. And there are many ways to determine if someone is a danger to the country or a danger to the state. And I think our resources could be used to make sure what you share as a concern could be addressed.
In your letters to President Biden and Governor Burgum, you specifically mentioned bringing in Ukrainian immigrants. What about possibly bringing in non-Ukrainian immigrants, such as those who are entering the United States through the southern border?
I'm very supportive. In fact, I suggested when the National Guard went down there, they should take buses along and load some people up and bring them back. When I look out my window in this community and I see people working on the streets, I see people working on the roofs, I see people doing cement work, I see Mexican laborers.
My thanks to State Senator Tim Mathern for joining me for this conversation about bringing Ukrainian immigrants to North Dakota to offer them humanitarian relief and to help alleviate the state's labor shortage. Mathern says for the proposal to work, it would require an initiative led by Governor Doug Burgum, along with resources provided by the state legislature. Well, that will do it for this Thursday, March 31st, 2022. Thanks for joining us for Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker.